Hi, I'm Ryan Rose, and I get to travel the country helping owners with challenging horses. And I'm out to prove that these challenging horses actually want to do what we want them to do if we can present it to them in the right way, using clear communication and building a connection to our idea. Let's get to it. All right, so we're here with Sarah and Addison, and we're here to look at Addison's horse. She has a buckskin mare, really pretty horse, that is giving her some trouble riding away from the other horse. She tends to be really buddy sweet, and so we're going to talk about that a little bit and find out a little bit more about the horse and kind of what you guys have been doing to try to work through it and see where that's at. So can you guys tell me a little bit about the horse, her name, and how old she is, and just a little bit about her?
You bet. So Duchess is a 7-year-old AQHA. She's been used for just about everything from cattle sorting to trail riding and even gymkhana and WIHA. So she's had a lot of experience in her short life, but because she's been handed off multiple times and in multiple disciplines, she lacks confidence, and quite honestly, she's just used to getting her way. I think she's learned how to get out of doing what she needs to do. Yes.
Yep. So what's the worst behavior that you guys have seen from her?
The worst behavior is where it appears as if she lacks confidence, and when you ask her to ride out on her own, she will stiffen up. She loses her ability to relax. She'll raise her neck really high, and on occasion she's been known to rear, and she doesn't do it to hurt. She is just trying to get out of work.
And so what do you guys normally do to handle this?
In all honesty, because this is my daughter's horse, we've typically had Addison dismount, and I've gotten on her and just tried to patiently push her through to where she needs to be, but she doesn't really ever fully relax. So I know that my horsemanship skills are not where they need to be to help get her to truly overcome the bad behavior.
Okay. And is this when she's by herself, or is this when you have both horses?
Yes.
What's the scenario?
Always when she's asked to ride out alone. Yeah.
Okay.
So if she's with her friend, she's calm, cool, and relaxed, and we never have issues.
So when a horse is kind of buddy sour or buddy sweet, that issue can come from a few different things. So we need to figure out, is the horse not respecting the handler and trying to evade what they're asking the horse to do? Or does the horse have like a more deep-seated issue with being separated from other horses? All horses have an innate response to want to be with the herd, a natural instinct to want to be with the herd. But this can be amplified by their past experiences. So sometimes when a baby horse is separated from its mom, it can happen in kind of an unnatural way. So normally what happens is the foal gets old enough that it starts to get on its own, and the mare actually will push the foal off, and they're in a large enough space that that's possible, and it'll kind of go off with another band of weanlings, that are maybe 6, 7, 8 months old, something like that. If that doesn't happen naturally, sometimes people are in a hurry to sell the horse when they're in captivity, and we can kind of create an artificial separation by just pulling them apart and sending them on a trailer down the road. And this can lead to some really deep-seated herd-bound issues. Now, there's all different ways to go about separating them, but that's not really what we're talking about here. So we're going to get the horse out. I'm going to watch Sarah play with the horse, and we're going to see what the horse does. We're going to see what Sarah does and respond. We don't feel comfortable having Addison do it, so we're going to try to keep it safe, but at the same time, it'll help me understand what Sarah's doing, what the horse is doing, and see where we can find a solution for this. So stay tuned. All right, so we're going to get started with Miss Duchess, and we could see from the previous video that the ground skills is where the problem was starting, of just the idea of going away from the other horse. And the way I read it, it was, yes, the horse was concerned about the other horse, but it was also about her respecting the human as the leader. And so the way we're going to build respect and connection from a horse as the leader is by getting control over their feet in different ways. So the more ways we find to move their feet, we start to move the needle and get a higher percentage of leadership. And so what she went to at first was circling the horse, and that will give you maybe 10% of the leadership role. Maybe if I could do a hind quarter yield, a forequarter yield, a little side pass, a backup, we could get another 10% out of each, and next thing you know, we're at 80, 90% of the leader. So it's not are you or aren't you, it's how much are you. And so I'm gonna bring the other horse in here, and I'm gonna play with her by the other horse, and then we're gonna practice taking the other horse away from her. I wanna establish some control where she feels connected with the other horse, and then use that control to take her away. And so one of the things that I noticed when you were sending her on a circle is you would go to send her and the horse would kind of head out shoulders first. Yeah. And that put her hindquarters by you and set her up in a position to maybe get kicked. Now luckily you were far enough out of the way, but that's one of the things I want to address on the circle game. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to control the hindquarters a little bit. So I'm going to drive her hind end here with the flag, and I'm looking for her to yield, turn, and face right there. Very good. There we got a little lick and chew, which means she found relief doing the yield. So I have to put just enough pressure on that she feels uncomfortable so that when she does the move I'm looking for, she'll find relief. So I'm driving the hindquarters. There. So we get that turn and face. We'll see if she licks and chews again or not. Checking me out. That's good. Good. Okay, now I need a little bit of a backup. Good. Good. So I want her to respect our space just a little bit more. Now we're going to ask for a shoulder yield. There we go. Because I'm using a flag because she seems pretty sensitive. Sometimes we use just a stick and a string. Now I'm going to ask her to move her hindquarters out. So I need her to go on the circle and then move her hip so that she's circling with a shape around me like that. That's a much better position to circle me in. So I keep my lead rope short so that if I drive her out, it brings her nose in and pushes her hip away. I call this the 3-circle game, and this is a simple thing, but it's not easy at first. There you can see her shaping up really good. We'll take that. Very nice. And we'll try that the other way. So again, I'm just trying to establish a little leadership with her on the ground where it's safer for us than in the saddle. Ah, she's pretty respectful of that now. That was good. So see, I could just put a little pressure there and that hip is going to the outside away from me. Very good. Now I'm going to practice changing directions. Drive that shoulder away. So anytime she runs through my personal space bubble, I'm going to put a little pressure on her and let her get relief out there. Again, she's decompressing, she's licking and chewing. When a horse does that, it means they switch nervous systems. And so she's getting there. See that? How she's stepping away from me there? That's what we want to see. So now I'm working on that change of direction. So it's a slightly different yield. So I'm running my hand down the rope. I'm going to redirect her nose. And then I'm going to ask her to step off of that. Very good. I wanted just a little bit more of a response there. So I put a little pressure on her. Now I would rather put enough pressure on to be effective and not have to nag her with it. That's also an important element of this. So but at the same time, I offer it to her with a light feel first. So I'm giving her time to move and yield and letting her know the pressure's coming if she chooses to lean on it. So this changing directions is going to be a really beneficial thing for you to ask her to do. Ah, she made a good choice that time. Very nice. Let's do that again. Gonna lift. Put a little pressure there for a little attitude. Now, it's also something that's important to note. I'm not looking for a horse, like I like to grade their behaviors. -10 to +10. +10, they couldn't have done it any better. I mean, they just were perfect. -10 is like they're gonna kill themselves, they're gonna kill a person, it's really bad. And so I would grade her behavior as like -5, -4. So if we get her to a -2, that's a significant improvement. Does that make sense? We're not going to look for her to go from a -4 to a 10. So the -4 behavior was her kicking out and taking off and that sort of thing. That was where the negative number comes in, because if somebody were to get kicked, if your daughter Addison were to get kicked by her, that's a trip to the hospital with broken ribs. You know, it's bad, right? So when it becomes that dangerous, that's when it gets a negative number. And it starts with just also owning space and just having her respect our bubble a little bit more. You know, a lot of people think that you have to get super, super creative on the ground or just tire them out. But it's really just the fundamentals. If I can walk through her space here and have her just yield, that makes me the leader in her herd. So sometimes I'll just practice, I'll pick a line to walk on. I'm gonna put a little pressure here, and I'm gonna touch her if she doesn't move out of the way. It's her choice. I don't care how she gets out of the way, but she has to get out of the way. I stayed on my line. Sometimes when I ask people to do this, you'll see them, they'll go to put pressure on and they'll intentionally miss the horse. Well, that horse is reading and seeing everything. And so if a person is a little bit nervous about touching the horse, that horse is going to feel their lack of commitment to it, and they're going to push through it, and they're going to wear the pressure and choose to ignore that response. So I'm going to go ahead and take her out further now. So at this point, I feel like we're getting some communication down, and now I want to test it. So now I want to take her further away out into the field and add this distance to it and see if her confidence and yields will hold through out there. I could check some of my yields and see if there's still some yields here. So you can see she's still just a little bit reactive to that flag. So I'm just going to keep that flag going until she gets a little bit softer to it. Still reactive, still reactive. See, she's kind of learned that if she gets big and reacts, that the person will stop doing what they're doing. And I'm saying to her here, just because you're getting big isn't going to get you relief from me moving this flag. But now there's an underlying thing here, which is my energy is still quiet. And so I'm not touching her with it. I'm not driving her strong. I'm just waiting for her to get soft and give me a soft response. Getting closer there. She's softening, but she's not quite there yet. There. That was a little change. We'll try that the other way. So she's got to start to learn the rules of engagement here, and that it's not the flag that determines that's going to put pressure on. It's when she acts like a prey animal and tries to escape by jumping and rearing and kicking and leaping through the air. So I'm just going to leave this here a little bit. There, see if she's challenging the process. She's trying to be curious about it. And there she had a big letdown there. She stopped, she licked and chewed. So it's really important that if she gets bothered by something, to leave that there until she settles and works through it. That will be equally as important as teaching her to yield from pressure and move away, as teaching her to not be afraid of pressure, but to understand it and understand what it means. And so this is actually teaching her to follow a human's life up and life down. You know, people are sometimes told that if you're calm, your horse will be calm. And unfortunately, that's not true. Just because you're calm, if something else bothers the horse and sets him off, it doesn't matter how calm you are. Now, you can train a horse to be calm when you're calm. So what I can do is I can bring my life up and drive her around like this. And as long as I keep driving her with the flag and then I lower my energy, she can learn to be calm when I'm calm, even though the flag is still being noisy. And that's one of the lessons that she needs to learn, is to follow the human's life up and life down. You know, it's kind of natural. You'll see if one horse takes off running, they all want to take off running. It's natural for them to follow the life up and life down of a herd. So now we're teaching her to follow the life up and life down of this herd, the herd of two, you and the horse. So I think that's a good place for now. and we'll go ahead and mount up and see if we can't get this a little better under saddle. Okay, so we're gonna get a ride on Duchess here, and I have her pasture mate here with her. And there's a couple of things that I would like her to know, that when things are going well, when conditions are good, that's when I want to teach it to her. That way, if I ride her away and conditions become not ideal, I'll be able to utilize the same thing. So I don't want to teach them something new when I'm in a survival situation because the horse is acting up or I'm on a trail, something like that. So I want to teach it here when things are going well. This also creates a scenario where we're making it more uncomfortable, or like I like to call it, hot lava around this horse, and make it relief away from her. That's the scenario that we're trying to create. Now, again, I think it is 50% about the two horses, but it's also about her seeing the human or the rider as the leader. Okay, so what I'm going to do to start off with is I'm just going to bend her around, and I'm going to ask her to yield to a disengagement, a hindquarter yield. So I want to teach her to disengage, and then after I disengage her, this would be a correction that I would use. Then I'm going to ask her to lower her head down, and I'm going to do that by lifting up on the reins here and just waiting for her to think about lowering her head down. And so this becomes something that is consistent that I can do if she starts to act up. If you could stay down here, that would be great. Okay, now I'm going to set that up again. So I'm going to bend her around and disengage. So I'm putting pressure on here, back by the back cinch. This is meant to be a little bit uncomfortable, and it's meant to get her attention onto me. It's also meant to be a safe position for us to get into if she starts kind of jumping around and acting silly. So now I'm lifting it up, making this uncomfortable for her to have her head up. As soon as she thinks right there about putting her head down, she gets relief. So the secret with horses is to take what they're wanting to do, work with the horse where they're at. So she wants to be with her. So that's where I need to start, is work with her here, make this uncomfortable, and then show her that it's relief away from her. Versus just setting up a scenario where I take her directly away, getting into a fight out there and just seeing who comes out the other side with less bumps and bruises. You know, that's what I don't want to get into. So I'm going to try this one more time. I'm bending her to the right each time here. I'm going to disengage a little bit. Now I'm going to ask her to lower her head. And it also becomes a pattern that becomes consistent to her, but I'm looking for her to choose this answer. So to me, that still took a little bit too long. So we're going to practice that a few more times before we try to use it out there. Let's go ahead and ask that again. And ask her to lower her head down. Ah, you see how that was like instant? That's what we're after. Now, when you do this, it's also very important that you pick your reins up slowly and give that horse a chance to respond. If you pick your hands up too fast, then it becomes confusing. Okay, so now I'm going to ride around you, and I'm going to do a bunch of turns into you. And whenever I turn into you, I'm going to make that a little bit uncomfortable. So there's a couple ways to do this. One way is just changing directions like this. But it's got to be enough work and enough discomfort that she thinks this wasn't so fun. So that there's an obvious difference to her when I ride away, which I'm going to try right now. So now we're going to ride away, and we're just going to see how easily can I ride away. So I drop the reins. I'm going to guide her just subtly. But if I ever feel like I have to put a lot of pressure on her, we're going back to her buddy horse. So right about there is where we time out, and we got to put another quarter in if we want to keep going. And so we're going to take that. We're just going to let her settle here and just let this feel good to her. If she wanted to eat grass, I'd let her eat grass. Oh, now she's ready. She's had enough. She's going to head back to this other horse, so I'm going to trot over there. So I'm gonna go, let me help you go back to your friend. Here's your friend. Come on down. So we're gonna trot some circles. We're gonna change directions. Now, I could do a little bit more passive way for this as well. There you go, drive her away. That'll help. But I'm wanting to be a little more assertive by her because I'm also trying to build a little respect for my cues, and I want her to feel the difference. Now there, we only made it to there. Now I'm going to ask her gently if she wants to go, and she's telling me she wants to go back to this horse. So I'm going to go, okay. Pressure came on once she was facing this other horse. Does that make sense?
And she's got to work harder.
Now I'm looking for her to change to where she's like, I'm happy to go away from these other horses. This was not as fun as I was hoping it would be. There we go. So I just gave her one little cluck there and she went, yep, I can keep going. Very nice. So I hope you guys can see the difference in my energy and my attitude, my intention. I'm much softer over here. I'm not going to get in a fight with her. If she wants to take me back to that other horse, she's kind of leaning that way. I'm just going to see if I can softly talk her out of that. I could. Very good. See if I can change directions here. And I feel her pulling me back to that other horse. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to help her get back to that other horse. So we're going to trot over here. But now I'm going to change strategies here a little bit. I'm going to pick her up and I'm going to make this uncomfortable. See, it's uncomfortable to be by this other horse. And now she kind of turned away there. So now I'll put my reins down. Again, if she wants to kind of turn and lean back here, let her. I call this signing them up. Let them get committed to what her idea is. And then I'm going to go, the location and the direction of this is not an uncomfortable, or is not a comfortable spot. When you turn and you come over here, this is where the relief is. Can you see how that makes sense? And I'm being assertive with her, but I'm not picking a fight with her either. I'm working with her where she's at. I'm letting her go by the other horse, and I'm showing her that that is the uncomfortable spot to be in. Okay, let's try this again. So I'm going to sign her up to come in this way. Pick her up. Pressure's on. I'm putting my legs on her. She stepped away right away and went over here. Very good. That felt really nice. So at this point, I'm feeling pretty good about where Duchess is at, both on the ground and the saddle. But it doesn't really matter if I'm the only one that can do it with the horse. Now we need to see if Sarah can reproduce these same results. So what I'm going to have you do first is do the disengagement.
Stand.
Okay. So just disengage her, and then we're going to ask her to lower her head down. I want you to try that. So one rein, bend her to the side. Yep. Go to the right. Yeah, go to the right. Tight circle, and just only your right leg. Right leg, back by the back cinch.
Oh.
Bumper, bumper. Yep. Tap her with the rein. Tap her with the rein. Ideally on the right cheek. Oh. There you go. There. Okay, now stop. And now lift your reins up softly and just soft. You give her a chance there to settle. Hold it just a little there. Release.
And we
That's definitely head down though, wasn't it?
That's head down.
Okay. Now just go ahead and ask her to ride away here. And then just kind of turn her, pitch the reins loose. And just see how easy it is. If it feels like you have to do a lot to get her away, like right there, pick her up. Now lift up your hands pointing at this horse and pressure on. Pressure on, strong with your legs. Now turn her the other way, turn. Pressure on with your legs and release. Yep, go ahead and just ride on here. Good. Just loose rein, just casually, nice soft energy here. Good. So again, if it takes more than that little squeeze, yep, ride her back here.
Okay.
Ride her back, strong, ride her back strong. Good, that's good. Now pick her up, pressure, pressure. Now turn her away and release, release. Yep, and just softly just take a ride out around the pasture there. Kind of picturesque, sun setting, taking your horse for a ride out in the pasture. Go ahead and turn her away and ride back this way. There, how'd that feel?
Well, I didn't have to fight it. Good thing. I'm so used to a horse, my friend.
Very good. So she's okay with turning away from that other horse? Good. Now, Addison, can you go ahead and lead that other horse away, please? Tap her with the rein. Keep your legs on and tap her with the rein. Good. So it's really important there that you don't start kicking, that you just squeeze. And if she doesn't go, you tap her with the rein. That will teach her to respect your leg cue. So that, I believe, is a bit of a separate issue from the herd deal. It's just her respecting the human's pressure. Good. That was better.
So, how did you think that went, Sarah?
That went well. Yeah, that's manageable. Something that we can work with day in and week in and week out. Absolutely.
So you don't think you need me to come and ride her every day to work through that?
Probably
you feel like you can do
not.
that? All
No.
right. That's excellent.
That
That's
we
what I
can
wanted
do.
to hear. Good deal. So how did you feel riding her the second time?
Much more relaxed. She was relaxed, so I could relax. So that just in turn helped both of us together.
Yeah, easier to think about what you were doing and,
Right.
and to stay focused and
Yep.
to be right and use good leg positions. Awesome.
Thank you.
All right. Keep up the good work.
I
And,
feel very privileged that you guys came here today.
we'll stay in touch. And
Absolutely.
just keep up the good work with her. And you can see that just a few of those things changing on the ground in the saddle will make a world of difference.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
all right. Keep
Thank
it
you
up.
very much.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it. Sarah and Duchess are off to a good start, but keep in mind this is only the start. They need to keep practicing, and they need to build this so that this new behavior becomes the normal. And then this horse will be ready for Addison. So thank you guys for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it. We got more problem horse videos coming at you. Thanks for watching.